Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. Nobody. Hey everyone, welcome to the Top 10 list. Welcome to my Top 10 favorite Ben Stiller movies. Yes, to celebrate the movie that came out last week, Brad's Status, which I did a review of, and also to celebrate the Netflix movie that's coming out soon, The Myrick Project, I thought I'd do a Top 10 of my favorite Ben Stiller movies. Yes, Ben Stiller is a very unique actor. Like, there's a lot of people who do not like Ben Stiller. They don't find him funny, they don't think he's a good actor, they just don't like his work. I completely understand that. I am not one of those people. I actually really very much enjoy Ben Stiller. There are some movies of his that I absolutely hate, but a lot of his movies I really enjoy, like his dramatic work, his comedic work. When he is funny, he is really, really funny. And yeah, I like a lot of his films, and I like so many that I can actually make a top 10 list, so let's get to it. Here's my top 10 personal favorite Ben Stiller movies. And yeah, and as always, before a top 10 list, you gotta have your honorable mentions. My honorable mentions are Happy Gilmore, Madagascar 2, Flirting with Disaster, Greenberg, The Cable Guy, Your Friends and Neighbors, and Madagascar 3, Europe's Most Wanted. Yes, all great films. Just gonna make the top 10 list. But what did make my top 10 was my number 10. My number 10 is a very interesting and very overlooked romantic comedy that's called Keeping the Faith. Keeping the Faith has Edward Norton and Ben Stiller, and they both play a priest and a rabbi who fall in love with the same woman. This girl has been like their childhood friend almost their whole lives. And it's an interesting sort of love triangle, which is something I don't care for. I don't like love triangles in movies or shows. I think it's so stupid. It's so formulaic, but the way they do it in this movie is interesting. They don't make it predictable or corny or something. They make it very genuine and actually pretty delightfully funny and stuff. And Edward Norton in this movie already knows that he can't get the girl because he's a priest. He can't marry and stuff, and he knows that she likes Ben Stiller more, so it doesn't really end up in a conflict or anything. He just happens to be in love with her, but he knows he can't be with her. So it's a very realistic approach on a love triangle, and it's very well done. The performances are all great. Edward Norton is fantastic in this movie. So is Ben Stiller. The three actors all have chemistry. It is funny. It is delightful. There is, again, predictability about it, but they take a cliche like the love triangle and they spin it in a different way, make it more realistic and more humanistic, and it's a delightful film. Now, not a lot of people have seen this movie. Check it out. It is not a preachy movie. It's not like a deep religious movie, even though it's about a priest and a rabbi. It's actually more about the characters and the romance and these characters interacting with each other. It's actually a very genuine film with good comedy, good romance, good drama, and it's just an all-around delightful film. Coming in number 9 is The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. Yes, Secret Life of Walter Mitty is a movie. It's a remake of an older film. I have not seen the older film, but I've seen this one, and this one, anytime I say to people that I really enjoyed this film, people look at me like I'm like on drugs or just like out of my mind. They're like, what? Like, you like this movie? This weird, bizarre, unfunny movie? You like this film? Yeah, I like it. I like The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. I think it's very ambitious filmmaking. I think it is funny. I think it is deep. I think it has a very good character arc in the film, and I think it's a fascinating movie. It has great visuals, great atmosphere, good direction. I think Ben Stiller was trying to be very ambitious with this film. I think he was trying to be very unique with his style of filmmaking, and yeah, I think he was trying to be very awe and very eerie, but also very funny, very imaginative with this film, and I think he did succeed. And I think he's really good in this movie. I think he directed the film really well. I think the small performance by Sean Penn is good. Kristen Wiig is good. Adam Scott is a very cliched character, and he just plays the typical bully character, which he's played a bajillion times in other films. He's But I like the visual style. I like that they constantly show Walter Mitty in the movie. He constantly daydreams about random things, and they show you what he actually daydreams about, and it's fascinating. And anyone who's out there who daydreams a lot, I think you can relate a lot to this movie. I think Walter Mitty himself is a very likable and very relatable character. Like, even traits about him I can very much relate to, and it's a really good story. It's got good adventure, it's got good comedy, it's got good drama, interesting characters, and I think Ben Stiller did a very good job with this movie. I liked its atmosphere, its cinematography, its direction. Again, it's an ambitious movie. Some people hated it, but I really liked it. Coming number 8 is The Royal Tenenbaums. The Royal Tenenbaums is another movie I've talked to death about, my Gene Hackman list and my Wes Anderson list. It's a great film. It's not an amazing film. It's not my favorite Wes Anderson film. It's no Moonrise Kingdom or Fantastic Mr. Fox or Grand Budapest Hotel, but it's still a good movie with good characters. Gene Hackman is the show stealer in this movie with his big family. Ben Stiller, Gwyneth Paltrow, Owen Wilson, Bill Murray, all great in this movie. It's got that very quirky, unique style of Wes Anderson. Ben Stiller holds his own with all these great performances. He's a really good character. He plays Gene Hackman's son in this movie. You feel sympathy for these children character because of the way Gene Hackman raised them and stuff, but Gene Hackman is just such a weird, complex character. You also kind of root for him as well. It's got good comedy, interesting family dynamics, and it's just got a unique Wes Anderson style. If you love Wes Anderson films, obviously you love The Royal Tenenbaums. Definitely not the best Wes Anderson film, and definitely not the best Ben Stiller film, but still a very unique and fresh film, and it's a great film. Coming number 7 is Zero Effect. Zero Effect is a very underrated 90s comedy film. Most people probably have never heard of this movie. If you're very familiar with Ben Stiller's work, then probably you have, but most people have never heard of this film, and it's a shame because this is actually a very good movie. This is about a rich guy. He's being blackmailed for something I won't spoil, and basically he hires a private investigator to investigate who is blackmailing him. So he hires Bill Pullman in this movie. Bill Pullman plays this very bizarre investigator guy who's like a genius. He can like read people and stuff, but he also has some severe like social awkward problems. He's very distant and stuff. He can't properly talk to people, but he's a genius. He knows like how to solve things. He can read people. He almost has like an eidetic memory and stuff. It's very interesting. He's a very hilarious character too, because he constantly writes like really bad love songs and stuff, and he constantly annoys his assistant, played by Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller plays his assistant in this movie, and basically it's about Ben Stiller and Bill Pullman trying to solve this case and stuff. Who's trying to blackmail this like billionaire who's played by Ryan O'Neal and stuff. And I won't spoil who's doing it. I won't spoil any of the twists and turns, but it's a really good movie. Some people might find this movie tonally inconsistent because it's like a comedy, it's a drama, it's a mystery, it's a thriller, it's a romance. It kind of jumbles a lot of tones together and a lot of genres. And I think it does work. It doesn't come off too inconsistent. I think in the heart it is a comedy, but with other genres mixed in with it. But yeah, I think in the heart it's a comedy. It just has thrilling moments and romantic moments, but it's genuinely a comedy, and it's actually a very funny comedy, a very good dark comedy. I like the two lead characters. I think Bill Pullman and Ben Stiller have great chemistry with each other. They're both really funny to watch. Ryan O'Neal's great. The whole supporting cast is great. It's a very underrated 90s film. If you haven't seen this movie yet and you like Ben Stiller and you like his work, then check it out. I think you'll have a great time with it, and it's just an all-in great film. Coming number 6 is Zoolander. Yes, Derek Zoolander. Blue Steel. Magma. Yes. How was this a place for ants? How are children supposed to get in if they can't even fit in the building? I became bulimic. You can read minds. This movie's fantastic. This is a perfect way of making a dumb movie very clever. This movie's cleverly stupid. Zoolander 2 is just a stupid movie, but the first Zoolander movie is a ridiculous film, but it is so funny. Again, Ben Stiller directed this movie, did an amazing job. He's hilarious in this film as Derek Zoolander. Owen Wilson as Hansel is so funny. We got all these files right here in this computer. Smash. Where'd all the files go? So funny. Will Ferrell's great in this movie. Ben Stiller's wife is in this movie. This movie's got hilarious cameos like Paris Hilton and David Bowie. This movie is just a fantastic movie about male models and how they're typical stupid people, and they actually are stupid people, but they're people with feelings and stuff, and It's a really funny movie. It's a great movie about in the model industry and stuff, and accepting oneself. And yeah, it's a great movie. It's dumb, but it's cleverly dumb. Coming number 5 is There's Something About Mary. There's Something About Mary is another great 90s comedy. This is like one of the first big gross out raunchy comedies. Like raunchy comedies and gross out comedies have existed before There's Something About Mary, but There's Something About Mary made it sort of mainstream. Like this movie was a smash hit, not only with like critics but with audience members. This movie did super well, and after this movie came out, most movies try to be like this one and try to be gross out and raunchy just like that. This movie, like American Pie, just came out just after that There's Something About Mary, and they tried to do the same sort of comedy but with teenagers, and I don't think it worked very well. There's Something About Mary is a genuinely funny film. It is so great. Basically, it's about all these guys, and they're just obsessed with Mary. There's just something about her. You just fall madly in love with her. Mostly, it's about Ben Stiller and how he was in high school and he fell in love with her, and he basically tries to track her back and stuff. He hires an investigator played by Matt Dillon, but then he falls in love with her, and there's other guys that are in love with her and stuff. It's just a really bizarre, raunchy comedy, and it is so funny. Cameron Diaz is in this movie. Again, and a lot of people know I'm not a big Cameron Diaz fan. She's fine in it. She's not very funny. The comedy mostly comes from the supporting roles and the lead male roles. Like Matt Dillon is funny, Ben Stiller is funny, the cameos are funny, like Brett Favre, Richard Jenkins and stuff. They are all funny. Keith David, they're all really enjoyable in this movie. This movie, again, is very vulgar, very crude, very gross. There's a lot of humor that is absolutely disgusting, but it is very funny, and it is the first movie not to use gross out humor, but the first one to make it mainstream. Every movie wanted to be like There's Something About Mary after this movie came out, and there was only one There's Something About Mary, and that is There's Something About Mary. Like, it is a really genuinely funny movie. It's very fresh, it's very original, it's got enjoyable characters, and it's just an all-around hilarious film. Coming number 4 is Meet the Parents. Meet the Parents, yes, it spawned really bad, shitty sequels like Little Fockers and Meet the Fockers, but Meet the Parents is so freaking funny. Ben Stiller, Robert De Niro, Terry Polo, Owen Wilson, all really funny in this movie. Simple story, it's about a male nurse named Gaylord Fokker. He's basically about to marry, he wants to propose to a girl named Pam, but before that he has to meet the parents and meet the whole family and stuff, and then he finds out her dad is like an CIA agent and stuff, and it is just funny. It is a really funny movie. I'm watching you, Fokker. And I don't want to spoil any of the jokes. If you haven't seen this movie yet, just check it out. It is really funny. De Niro's hilarious. Ben Stiller's hilarious. It's got great comedy. It's also got a genuinely good romance between Terry Polo and Ben Stiller. And yeah, just a delightful film. Coming number 3 is Dodgeball, a true underdog story. Yes, Purple Cobras. Yes, Ben Stiller is in this movie as White Goldman. This is probably one of my favorite Ben Stiller characters ever. Yes, creme on the floor. Tony loves Chachi. Your best player thinks he's a pirate. Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. Nobody. Great, now he's a philosopher. Now he's a philosophizer and stuff. Fucking Chuck Norris. White Goldman probably has some of the best lines in this film. He is hilarious in this movie. And this movie just has so many amazing characters, like LaFleur, played by Vince Vaughn. You got Steve the Pirate, played by Alan Tudyk. You got Patches, played by Rip Torn. You got Justin Long in this movie. Again, Ben Stiller's wife is in this movie. Hilarious cameos like Chuck Norris, David Hasselhoff, Lance Armstrong. This is just a hilarious movie about Dodgeball. It's about the average Joes taking on Global Gym to fight for their gyms and stuff, and it is so funny. This is a great sports movie. It's very inspirational. It is so funny. There's a lot of jokes thrown at you in this movie, and it's hilarious. It's one of the funniest Ben Stiller movies. It's my favorite Ben Stiller character, and it's just a great film. Coming number 2 is the movie Brad's Status. Brad's Status, again, I just did a whole review of it. I'll leave a link down below to my review. I went into more details about it and how much I really love this film. This is going to go down as a very overlooked movie of this year. I think this is a truly great film, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was so well directed, so compelling, a great character. A really good character-driven story. Ben Stiller, Austin Abrams are both fantastic. You got Michael Sheen in this movie. You got You got Michael Sheen in this movie. You got Mike White, who also wrote and directed this movie so freaking well, Ned Schneebly. And yeah, I absolutely love it. It's a great story about a father and son relationship and about the past and stuff. And did you make the right decisions in life? And what is the right decisions when it comes to your life and stuff? What's going to make you truly happy? It's a fascinating film with great writing, great direction, great performances, and just an all-around fantastic film. And I think it's one of Ben Stiller's best work. And my number one favorite Ben Stiller movie it's a bit of a cop-out because I kind of went with two films and I couldn't decide which one I liked more. And they're very different movies, that's why I like them both in very different ways, so I just put them both as a tie. That is Tropic Thunder and While We're Young. Tropic Thunder, I think, is his best comedy. I think this is the funniest Ben Stiller movie ever made. How he wrote and directed this movie and how he got these truly amazing performances out of these great actors like Robert De Niro, who's playing a dude disguised as another dude. I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude. I love it. Downey Jr. was actually nominated. That's how good he was. You got Jack Black, Jay Baruchel, Steve Coogan, Nick Nolte, Ben Stiller himself. So freaking funny. I love Tropic Thunder. It's about these actors who are making this war movie. So they actually go out and pretend to be soldiers, but then they actually get mixed up in a real life war and stuff. And it is so funny. It is ridiculous, but it is so clever. You got also Matthew McConaughey, Tom Cruise, one of the best cameos ever. So funny. Tropic Thunder is one of my favorite comedies of all time, and of course it's one of my favorite Ben Stiller movies. However, though, I think one of the best performances Ben Stiller gives in a movie is in While We're Young. And I think While We're Young is one of the more compelling movies. It's also really funny, too, but it's more of a unique film and a really well made movie. It's my favorite Noah Baumbach movie, and I think it's so well directed, so well executed, and the performances are all so great. Ben Stiller, Naomi Watts, Amanda Seyfried, Adam Driver, Charles Grodin. It's an interesting story about filmmaking and about being young and stuff, about getting old and everything. It's about documentary filmmaking and stuff. It's an interesting, fascinating character study about all these different characters who come off unlikable, but they're also very likable because they're just dream chasers and stuff. I love Ben Stiller in this movie. I think it's one of his best performances. Adam Driver's really good in this movie. Amanda Seyfried, Naomi Watts, again, I named the whole cast. It's got a good soundtrack. It's got a great sense of humor. It's very realistic, and I absolutely love While We're Young. I love both movies equally for two different reasons, and that's why they're both my favorites. So yeah, it's a tie, but you know what? I couldn't decide, so they're both amazing. So yeah, that's my top 10 personal favorite Ben Stiller movies. So in the comment section below, please tell me, what are your top 10 favorite Ben Stiller movies of all time? Yes, even if you're not a fan, what's just your favorite Ben Stiller movie? You gotta like at least one. So yeah, comment below, let me know. And as always for this video, please like, subscribe to this channel and join the dark side.